In this video, I'll go over 14 shortcuts and strats and see how much time they save compared to the normal routes. I already made a video like this about 2 months ago, but I want to cover some more shortcuts. This time around, I'll be splitting the shortcuts up into 3 categories: your average shortcuts, your average strats, and the really hard shortcuts and strats. So without further ado, let's start giving her, bud. Just before getting started, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I can guarantee you won't regret it. Also, make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video and leave a comment because I'll probably respond to it. Yeehaw, bud! We're starting off with the motion glider shortcut on Mario Kart Stadium. You'll usually be doing this on lap 3 with multiple shrooms, so I'll use all 3 here. Make sure you hard tilt your controller while simultaneously holding left on your stick. I finished the lap with about a 33.5, so we'll use this as our reference point. We're comparing that to the same shortcut but without the motion glider. Since you're only using 1 input to hold left rather than 2, it is quite a bit slower. As you can see, the motion glider is about 0.3 seconds faster. Again, I'm not a super experienced time trialer, and I'm not always neck and neck with my ghost in these comparisons, so these time saves are strictly approximations. Now here's something new. I'm going to be going over 2 ways you can make some shortcuts, the first of which being the beginning shortcut on Thwomp Ruins. If you release a mini turbo as you hop into the shortcut, you'll save even more time, but it is a bit more difficult. I passed the rock at about 9.3 seconds. We'll first compare this to the super mini turbo method, which is much easier but is a bit slower. As you can see, the mini turbo method is about 0.3 seconds faster. Now let's compare the super mini turbo method to simply driving around the shortcut. Regardless of which method you use, this shortcut is absolutely worth going for online if you intend to front run. And you can see here that the super mini turbo method saves about 0.8 seconds, which means the mini turbo method saves 1.1 seconds over driving around the shortcut. For the Shy Guy Falls ending cut, we'll also go over 2 methods, the first of which being the mini turbo method, which I went over in my first comparison video. This is definitely the more risky method, but it's much faster than the super mini turbo method, and especially going around. I'm about to trick off the ramp with a 37.1. Now let's look at the super mini turbo method. It's a lot easier to charge up the super mini turbo if you hit the wall as I do here, but it is a bit slower. You can also get more air on the shortcut than I do here, so just keep that in mind. While I am about a second behind the mini turbo method, I think a near perfect shortcut would only make the mini turbo method about 0.7 seconds faster. Even so, the super mini turbo method is much faster than going around, regardless of how optimal your shortcut is. I think a near perfect super mini turbo shortcut would be about 0.6 faster than driving around, meaning the mini turbo method is about 1.3 seconds faster than driving around. And here's one more shortcut with 2 methods, the Bone Dry Dunes beginning shortcut. The fast method is once again a mini turbo method, and it's a pretty good one, but you do skip an item set. I crossed the shadow with about a 44.5. In comparison, the super mini turbo method is slower, but as you would expect, it's much easier. Still, you are skipping an item set. As you can see, the mini turbo method saves about 0.3 seconds over the super mini turbo method. Now you can see how far behind I am to the super mini turbo method, so just keep that in mind. This shortcut doesn't save a crazy amount of time, but if you really don't need an item, you could go for it. The super mini turbo method saves about 0.1 over driving around, which means the mini turbo method is a solid 0.4 seconds faster than driving around. Now here's an easy one, the Ice Outpost double cut. You usually will be taking both if you go for the first one, so I'll only compare the double to driving around. I switch over to the left path with a 24.6. While it is a lot safer driving around the shortcuts, as you can see, you should always be taking these shortcuts if you're front running. As you can see, the double cut saves about 0.8 seconds. It's easy and definitely worth going for online. Now let's go over some strats, starting with the DK Jungle fast ramps. This strat is a ton of fun to execute online, and is quite a bit faster. I begin driving on the incline with a 26.9. I'll be comparing the fast ramps to staying on the glider. There is another method to the ramps, but if you aren't keeping your glider out, you're going for the fast ramps. As you can see, the fast ramps are about 0.2 seconds faster. Now here's a strat where I'll go over 2 methods, the Wario Stadium double ramp strat. I suggest watching my video on how to drive faster in this game, as you need to launch drift to get the most out of drifting off these ramps. I land over the gap with about a 23.7. Now, if you don't launch drift, you're going to lose a ton of time, and it's very noticeable online. While it is faster than simply tricking off the ramp, it is much slower than the optimal ramp strats. As you can see, the faster strat is about 0.3 seconds faster. I very well could have done the slower strat wrong, because I don't remember it only being a wee bit faster than tricking off the ramp, so take this time save with a grain of salt. The slower strat saves about 0.1 over tricking off the ramp, meaning the fast strat saves 0.4 over tricking. And here's the final strat worth going over two methods. At the end of Wario Stadium, the fastest strat involves chaining two super mini turbos as I do here, with the second super mini turbo being released in low glider fashion. I finished the lap with about a 39.7. Now you can perform a much easier ultra mini turbo glider, but it is quite a bit slower. While I was a little behind my ghost going into the strat, I'd say the time save would still round up to 0.3 seconds, but even if it's only 0.2, the point is that the double super mini turbo method is faster and worth going for online. And in case you were releasing your ultra mini turbo early and merely tricking off the glider, yeah, that's not worth going for in any front running scenario. I was a little ahead of my ghost before the straight, but either way, the time save rounds up to 0.1 seconds. That means the double super mini turbo method saves about 0.4 seconds over tricking off the glider. And rounding out the strat, we have the fast keys on Music Park. This is a fun strat to go over, but you do land into an item set, so just keep that in mind. I touched the first and the second set of keys at about 20 seconds. If you go around, you'll have a much easier time nailing a box, especially because this is a very laggy section on the track. But even so, it is a lot slower to go around. As you can see, the fast keys are about 0.2 seconds faster. Now let's go over some of the hardest shortcuts and strats in this game, starting with a doozy, the Dolphin Shoals Shroomless Long Glider. I was able to develop an easier method to making this consistently, but even so, this shortcut is still very difficult. I finished the lap with about a 42.3. You can see here that this shortcut really isn't worth going for because it doesn't save a ton of time. I think I could have optimized how I drove the normal route a bit better, but even so, the Shroomless Long Glider is still a tiny bit faster. As you can see, it's about 0.1 faster, maybe less. I probably could have optimized my normal route a bit better, but it is what it is. Point being, it's not worth going for online. Next up is the ending Shroomless cut on Yoshi Valley. This one doesn't even feel like a shortcut, honestly, but it does save a solid amount of time. I finished the lap with about a 45.7. You do not have to worry about how terribly I prepared for the normal route. The time save is still accurate. The Shroomless cut is pretty damn hard, but if you can get the hang of it, it could help you out. As you can see, it's about 0.3 seconds faster. This glider strat is unbelievably easy with inwards, but you're gonna have some close calls on outward. The Piranha Plant Slide Super Mini Turbo Glider looks cool, but I don't think it's ever worth going for. At least it looks cool, that's what matters. I touched the coin with about a 38.6. Driving straight is just so much easier, and you'll probably be doing that anyway regardless of your spot. But to give this strat some credit, it is about 0.2 seconds faster. Second to last is the Grumble Volcano ending shortcut. I really like this one, but considering you'll only be able to attempt this at the very end of the race, it's not worth going for at all. Either way, I finished the lap with a 202.1. What a beast! I would say I'm about 0.1 behind going into the comparison, so just keep that in mind. But as you can see, it is so much easier to just drive around. This shortcut probably rounds up to being about 0.3 seconds faster, but it's a solid one either way. It's just never worth going for online. And lastly, we have the Big Blue Ultra Cut on 150cc. This one is really hard and is absolutely not worth wasting 3 shrooms here, but it does save a ton of time. If an easier method comes around, there's a chance we could see this online, but do not put money on it. I touched the glider ramp with about a 49.5. I'm pretty much neck and neck with my ghost here, so don't even worry about how I'm behind. Of course, this shortcut is not worth going for in time trials, but again, there is a chance it could see some use online if there's a better way to make the shortcut. But yeah, a big time saver. This shortcut saves a solid 0.8 seconds. I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. I might make another comparisons video on online strats as well as gliders, so be on the lookout for that. These videos are a ton of fun to make. Well, at least when I don't have to worry about being right next to my ghost. Nah, expect more of these videos in the future, no doubt about that. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, have yourselves a fantastic day, and keep on giving her, bud.